So, welcome to some unpleasant truths about this module. On the plus side, they're only slightly unpleasant, probably more in terms of the experience of them, but in terms of the old adage, no pain, no gain, all of the things though should, with benefit of hindsight and a little bit of time, be viewed as things that are actually quite useful. And certainly if we're talking to students who have completed the module, looking back, whilst some of the aspects we're going to explore here were challenging, I think basically everybody agrees afterwards that on balance, they were worth the amount of hassle and slight pain that was caused. Now, where you will find the details of the slightly unpleasant truths is within a document entitled Some Slightly Unpleasant Truths. So you should, it's a 2-pager, download and have a bit of a read of that. And it flags up some of the aspects in this module that can be challenging, that may, or may not, but may push you outside of your comfort zone. And again, for all these, we're doing it with good reason. We're doing it because educationally it is in your benefit to do this, and it will help maximize the amount of learning that you get out of the module. So if you like, the amount of experience you get of developing, the types of programs you're able to develop at the end, they will all benefit as a consequence of this. So it is upfront pain, but for long-term gain, if that's not too much of a cliche. So let's have a look at the first of the 4 different slightly unpleasant truths. So here's the first. This module does drop you in at the deep end. And what I mean by that is that for probably most modules, you arrive at the module, they sort of set out what it is you're going to accomplish. They will then introduce the material, and once you've had an opportunity to see it, to think about it, to, if you like, be exposed to it, they will then give you an assignment or a project that involves using that material. And all being well, you get to see it, you get comfortable with it, the assignment comes out, you go, okay, I can do that, and it's all well and good. In this particular module, at the very start of it, we're being upfront, we're saying that by the end of this module, you will have developed a large Android game, and is worth 1.5 module credits. It is worth a lot of credits. The fact is, if you don't pass this module, you're not going to be able to proceed into 3rd year. So at the very start of the module, you're presented with the challenge. You must be able to do this by the end of the module. And it is presented at a point in time where maybe you don't know any Android programming. Maybe you don't know how a game works, or you haven't done any games programming. So for most students at the start of the module, it appears to be, or can appear to be, a very large mountain that has to be climbed. And there isn't necessarily any way that's been set out to climb that mountain. And that perfectly normal human reaction is daunting. It can be very daunting. So I suppose with this slightly unpleasant truth is simply to flag up that at the start of the module, we have told you this is what you need to achieve. And thereafter, during the module, we will be introducing the different building blocks and covering the different technologies and design principles that will enable you to achieve that. But in all honesty, it probably isn't going to be towards the end of the first semester that most students are in a position where they can kind of see light at the end of the tunnel, that they've done enough development that they're sitting thinking, okay, you know, I've got the foundations and the elements of my game in place. I know I just need to add an X, Y, and Z. I can then round the thing off. So it will take some time for this to emerge. I suppose the only comforting thing I can say is that based on all of the previous years in which the module has run, it does come. And whilst at the start, students can be slightly apprehensive, by the end of the module, it's very, very rare to get people who are apprehensive in terms of what they need to achieve. Everybody knows what they need to achieve. Generally at the end, though, it tends more to be time pressure. Do I have sufficient time to get in all the things I want to put in? But that's a different type of pressure. Okay, so on to the second one. So unless you're a particularly unusual, but not unusual in a bad way, but an uncommon individual, you will have played games. It's a leisure activity for vast majority of young people. That makes me sound old. I suppose I am. But therein, having played games, having experienced these, this is a good thing because in a way it makes you a critic. You have a rich repertoire of gaming experience that you can draw upon in terms of developing your own game. You'll know the types of interaction and functionality that you want to develop. So it will help shape and direct your own game development. The problem you face, though, is that in all likelihood, the games you've been playing are ones that have been developed by professionals. And to be more precise, large teams of professionals, and large teams of professionals with multi-million-pound budgets who can do it over a couple of years. So it is somewhat worlds apart in terms of ourselves, where we have a few months to develop the game. And this is maybe the first time you have done that. What that can mean is that if you compare what you develop against the types of things that you have played, it's not really a fair comparison. So certainly make use of your expertise by way of helping to guide you, but don't underestimate or undervalue the significance of what it is you are creating. I always find it useful to suggest to students that they compare what they are developing in terms of their project to the types of things that they were developing in their first year modules. And normally you'll find all of the teams going, oh yes, it's considerably more impressive than what we were doing in first year. And that's the delta that's important. That is the measure of how much progress has happened, has occurred. As to the third slightly unpleasant truth, there's likely no clear finish line. And this is maybe where it differs a little bit from some of the assignments or mini projects where you have a specific task that you're asked to solve or a specific piece of functionality that you're asked to develop. And you can go ahead and you can do that and you can sort of draw a line and say, I have delivered upon that, and there you go. For this project, it's open-ended. They're based on the time that we have available. You will not finish the project within the time that you have. There will always be features that you could add in, things that you could improve, different aspects that you could tweak and refine and iterate on. So in that sense, you're not going to get to a point where you can say, it's done and dusted. Now, that can be difficult then because there's always more that you can do. And some people then end up worrying about, okay, well, have I done enough? How much is enough? You know, with a normal question, that if you answer it, then that's done. It comes down to the quality of your answer. Here, we've got two aspects at play. Very much we're interested in the quality of what it is you are developing, but you will need to come to your own assessment in terms of what is the quantity that we are looking for. And you could always add in more. Now, hopefully I can help you out with this as we go through the module in terms of the different submission points. So as part of those submission points, I'll give you some feedback in terms of how the project is shaping up as to its size. But you should expect that there will always be very many more things you can add in than you actually have available time to add in. So take that as something you can look forward to. The final slightly unpleasant truth, I'm afraid, is entirely due to me. I'm going out of my way to make your life difficult. I really do want to put you in situations where there isn't a clear way forward, where you have a problem and you need to investigate, well, how can I solve this problem? And there will not be one clear approach. You could say, well, I could do it this way, and I could potentially do it that way. And you're going to be in a position where you're going to have to weigh up which approach you think is best, but there won't be one best one. And you're then going to have to think, okay, I'll pick this for this reasons and go with it. That is difficult. That is it relies upon your own confidence to decide what is the best way forward. And the project that you've been put in, where you are developing a game, will provide lots of those different situations where there's a certain type of functionality or feature that you want to introduce into your game, and you're going to have to decide what's the right, the best, the most appropriate way for this project to do it. And I guarantee you there will not be one correct answer. I've also, and I've talked about this before, there are no weekly practicals. I don't want any process to hold your hand as you go through this. I want you to find yourself in a situation where it's up to you to make use of all of the links and all of the resources, to take the information, to schedule the time, to put in the time and effort to get up to speed, and to then develop the different aspects of your project. And just to reiterate, the reason why I'm doing both of these is that they, in a very, very real sense, reflect what actual software development is like. It can be difficult at the start, but when you go out in your placement year, for example, you'll find yourself in that type of situation. And it is one that the more you do it, the more comfortable you are sort of accepting this is just the boundaries within which you're working. So it can be a little bit uncomfortable. The more experience you get doing it, the better it'll be for you in the future. And doing it within this module is, in some respects, a sort of a low-risk environment. It's certainly a lot less risky than finding yourself out in placement and then having to pick up on it. And the reason it's low risk within the module is that I know I've put you in this difficult position. So when I'm assessing your project, I won't be as demanding. I will be mindful of the challenge that you have faced. And to be honest, if I had to put in a whole series of practicals, if I had have defined sort of a project or a problem where there's one easy way forward, then the assessment would be a lot more demanding, because I know that you didn't have a difficult time, everything was set out for you. So let's maybe end on a slightly positive note. It isn't all doom and gloom. There are, as mentioned in the last few screens, some difficult aspects about the project. The one positive thing I can say, though, that if you actually apply yourself, and by apply I simply mean to set out in your learning contract that you put in the time and effort, and you do this consistently over the module, you will pass and you will score well. And the reason I can say that is based on the hundreds of students that have taken this style of module, this module I've delivered in the past. Failure rates are actually relatively low, and invariably the people who feel that there is one common reason which accounts for the vast majority of cases, it is that they did not engage during the module. Quite often they're part of a team where that member just didn't pull their weight. And if you don't engage, I'm afraid you won't pass the module. But for the students who do engage, because we are developing things bit by bit as we go through, it gives you a way of actually building up and demonstrating, if you like, the learning outcomes that you've improved notably upon your programming ability from the first year. The percentage of people who actually score first class marks within the module is actually relatively high compared to other second year modules. And this is because it is a project-based module. It's an open-ended module. A lot of people really get quite interested in their project and like spending time developing it, enjoy spending time developing it. And it's because of that passion, it's because they do commit themselves to it, that they develop lots of nice features. They put the effort into refining and fine-tuning their game, and as a consequence they score highly. I do use the full mark range, so I have had a number of students over the years that have scored 100% in the module, full marks, simply because what they have developed has been phenomenal. It has been outstanding. So what I would suggest, do expect it to be challenging, but challenging in a good way because it's helping to improve yourself. But certainly do understand that if you apply yourself, and it is just putting in that effort, that's the key way of getting over the challenges, and it's also the key way of scoring well within this particular module. So all in terms of the key takeaways, there's only one. Do read the document that comes along with this. It talks a little bit more about some of these challenges. It is worthwhile occasionally coming back and scanning the document if you are finding things difficult, because it can help sort of just remind you that, okay, you know, that this is a difficult aspect. Most students in the past find it challenging. And that's the whole reason I put in a slightly implicit truth document, because there are commonalities about what people find challenging. But then do think and do understand that you know, if you keep on at it, you'll get through it, and that's really the ticket to success in the module.